Can't see anybody out there. Can you guys see me? I don't know how this thing works. Hey everybody, welcome. In this episode, I'm going to be trying to fix the leaky heater core in my 76 Bronco. My son and I were driving around not long ago and noticed a little bit of coolant dripping on the passenger floorboard. So it should be pretty easy to get out because, you know, everybody loves heater cores. They're always easy to get out. I think pretty much this bolt and this bolt back here are the two that hold in the heater box. And then of course I've got some, you know, wiring here in the way and a 5 liter, so I'm going from the one size to the other and some mess. I got to pull out those 2 clamps to get the heater hoses off down there, so we'll start doing that first and see how much coolant we can spill on the floor. I'm gonna go ahead and throw a pan under here. See if I can capture at least some of it. And we'll go ahead and pop off these hose clamps, loosen up these 2 hose clamps. First of all, I'm not even sure if you guys can see down in there. There's that one and that one. Go until they spin. There we go. Next, I gotta get these 2 guys. I have no idea if you guys can see down in there or not. I want to try to get these heater hoses broke loose. Pair of channel locks on here just by rotating them a little bit to try to break the surface tension. See if I can break this surface tension with a screwdriver. These have been on for about 10 years. So that's when I put this heater core in. When I put the engine in back in 2013. So they're pretty stuck. Disconnect these wires. See if I can get this whole thing out of my way. There we go. That out of the way. Get my fuel pump relay out of the way. Okay, there. Now I've got a little bit of room. I don't know why I didn't think to move that sooner. So now that I want to try to get these hoses off of here, which I'm probably going to need replaced anyways. Plan B. See how much of this makes it into my bucket. My goodness. I think we're catching all of that. Put a big bin down there. Okay. So that's out. Oh, here's more bolts. There's another bolt there and another bolt down here. Hey, it looks like we got it all in the bin. That's real nice. So in here's where the real fun begins. It's up under here. So there's the heater. Of course, I've got a bunch of stuff. I got my ARB valves and air lines and stuff over here. I did modify the dash. There's only one cable going down to it. There used to be two more, I think over here actually. Oops, you guys can't see. Where there was a connection out to a heater control valve, and there was a connection under here to switch between inside air and outside air, and all I get is inside air. So I've got that wired that way. So all I have is one control for the heat, and then you pull it out for defrost, and then it controls the motor. So that's loose. That's a good sign. It is hitting the back of the glove compartment, which, of course, you know, there's a computer in there, so I'm gonna have to move this around. So let me work on this a little bit off camera, and then maybe we'll get this out and fix the heater core. How are these spider webs coming from? Oh, spiders. Okay, there we go. Take this little clamp out that holds that cable in place. I already slid the cable off of this rod right here. Alright, I'll get that out of there. I'm gonna take this all the way off. I'm not sure you guys can see anything. I'm pretty sure you can't see anything. Maybe that'll go flying. Okay. So I got the cable disconnected. I disconnected some wires. I disconnected the tubes that go up to the defroster. Now I just got to try to finagle that thing out of there. Alright, let's see if we can get this out of here. If you guys can see in here or not. This is where we're at. Got it. Put the computer back. I'll reinstall my ECU. There we go. Alright, that's where we're at right now. So I had to disconnect the ground wire. Other wires over there. So let's see if I can just get that out of there. There we go. What else is connected? Hose. There we go. One early Bronco heater box. Pretty much as simple as they get. Okay, so here's our heater core. That's what we got to get out. Let's start with 16th nut drive. Start popping out all these screws here. Couple around here. And a couple more up here. We've got enough of it apart. That's an aftermarket. Save that. Ta-da! And goes in there, some foam, and voila. One bad heater core. I don't know where it's leaking. We'll have to test this, see if we can find the leak. Okay, so I built a little test setup here. I've got, this is it's a fitting for checking when you plumb, natural gas lines in a home or propane lines or something like that. You gotta pressure test them. So I've got one of those on here. I got it adapted down to a 5/8 hose barb and some heater hose on here. And then I got the other side just plugged with a copper cap in there. So we're gonna dial it up to about 10 psi here. Squirt some Glass Plus on it. Squirt some window cleaner on it. 10 psi. All right, this guy says there's 10 psi. This gauge says there's 12. And I don't have a lot of confidence that I'm going to be able to find this with glass cleaner. I'm just looking for some bubbles down in there. But I got a, there's some, no. So I got a bucket of water here, so we're going to plop this down in here. See if we can see any bubbles coming up. Bumped it up to 11. I'm not seeing bubbles. And there's some air trapped in there. Alright, so according to my gauge, we've got over 15 psi in there and it's not leaking, so this is puzzling. You can see what's going on down in there. I'm getting 0 bubbles. It's the next day. This has been sitting for about 24 hours. It's still got 5 psi in it, which is about where it was when I took the air hose off. A little bit came out of the Schrader valve, so that's pretty good. It doesn't leak. It does not leak, so I'm glad I didn't buy a new one because I'm going to put this one back in. I do think I know what the problem is, though, and we'll talk a little bit about that. I think I got a fix for it, so hopefully we can get this fixed. You notice this tube doesn't have a bead on it. I had to cut it off, and it was difficult. It was down in that fender well where I was working when you saw me removing this. This poked out, I think, to about here, and it would hit the inner fender. There wasn't enough room to get a heater hose on there, so I had to just reach down in there with a hacksaw blade and cut that off. And without this bead, I think it's not sealing good. So I'm going to try to build something up on here. I don't have a bead roller. I know they make little bead rollers that you can, run around there and it'll bend it out like that. I don't have that. But what I want to try to do is I want to try to just maybe solder a piece of wire around the outside of this so that I'll have some buildup on there, and then I'll have a little bump like that the hose will hopefully seal against. I'm also going to clean this up and straighten this out. I got a nice clean surface. That's straighter. It's still not perfect. I'll ream that out a little bit. make something like that. I want to cut it. Hopefully I can solder it on there. It's gone forever. Clamp this on here. That's my setup. That's an awful lot of flux. Okay, I'm gonna let that cool and I'm gonna clean it up a little bit and we'll see how it looks. So here's what I've done. And where the seam was in the wire, I've got that filled with solder. So that looks pretty good. Let's see if I can get a heater hose on there. Yes, I will be able to get a heater hose on there, especially after I put something slippery on there. Okay, so yeah, in the past, I have had a coolant leak outside, dripping on the floor, and I've tightened up the clamps, but I've always blamed it on not having this ridge on here. So now, hopefully this will fix that problem, and then the other problem will go away. I think maybe the hose was butted up against the firewall, and some coolant was squirting through the firewall and getting into the heater box somehow and dripping on the floor, because that only happened that one time. So, all right, let's start putting this back together. Pretty happy with that. Okay, I'm gonna put this back together. I'm gonna stick all this foam back on here. I can't find it. I had some better glue for this. I think it's just gonna kind of hold it in place while I put it together. So we're just gonna use some wood glue, because why not? Right, there's that one. And this one goes on the very bottom. This one we can probably just stuff right down in here where it belongs. Just put that down in there without glue. That one's going to go on the top. This goes on here, I believe. So. There's my inside air only setting. Recirculate, we call that. So I'm recirculating. And then I just got to put all these screws back in. gaskets on here. All right, I've got all the screws in. It's put back together. I'm ready to put it back in. That should keep it from falling out. Sit. Good girl. This is my helper, Blue. She's not a tremendous amount of help, but she's a lot of fun to have around. She's gonna go lay back down on the couch now. Okay, I got that in without too much trouble. Had to wiggle it around a bunch and move a wiring harness out of the way. So I had it in, out, and then back in, and it's good now. I've got these two nuts on here, but I'm going to pull those back off because I've got this bracket, this homemade bracket that holds this wiring harness in place. I've got everything else hooked up inside. So this is all back to normal in here. Everything up under is tucked away nicely. So I cut off the old heater hoses here. So now my next step is I'm going to run the heater hoses, and hopefully I don't have a lot of trouble getting a heater hose over that. So we'll do that now. All right, hopefully that'll give you a good view of the show and keep you out of my way. Let's see if we can get this hose on here. Oh yeah, slipped right on. Slipped right on. I'm not gonna run it all the way back on this time like it was before. Got a little bit of a kink in there. There we go. I don't like that kink, but it is just a heater. So, all right. So that one is going to go to here, and the other one is under here. So that's going to be a longer hose. So this is what I'm dealing with. I got that on there, and I did put a little bit of silicone grease on the inside of there. That's going to go right about there. That kind of flattens out some. I think I'll just leave it that length. Slide on my hose clamp for down here. That one's going to need opened up some. Not sure I like how I positioned that other one or this one, to tell the truth. Here we go. All the hose clamps. Even the ones that didn't leak. There we go, all tightened up. So now I gotta hook up all my computer wiring here for my harness, put my bracket in, and we'll be ready to give it the old leak test. Ha! Right in the coolant bin. Works every time. Just leave a bin of coolant around, and then anytime you drop something, it won't get lost. It'll go in there. These guys on. All right, that's in place. Gray to gray. Just get my square to square. Right there. That's nice. There's a round one around here somewhere. Let's see. Yeah, it'll go with a screwdriver. There we go. There we go. That lives there. That looks okay. Should run. Should be able to fire it up and see if it leaks. Open the garage door so we don't die of fumes. Fire this thing up and we'll let it run for a minute. I'm not going to let it run very long. I don't want to run a bunch of exhaust in the garage here, and it's kind of... I just don't feel like taking it for a test drive right now. There's a bunch of stuff under it I have to move. I think tomorrow maybe I'll take it out for a drive and see how it's doing, run it through a couple of heat cycles, get the air out of the system, and then then I can see if I've got any leaks. Let's go ahead and fire it up right now and see how it does. At least I didn't break anything. Alright, well I'm going to let this idle for a bit, and I'll bring you guys back later to let you know if I have a leak or not, and close this out. Pretty happy right now. Everything seems to be going well. I I think the problem all along, I don't think I had a bad heater core. Well, clearly I didn't have a bad heater core because it didn't leak. But I think that where I'd cut that tube off for several years, like in the winter when it would get cold, that would seep just a little bit. And I think maybe it was just seeping a little bit, and it was back by the firewall and maybe went through into the heater box and was dripping on the floor that way. So we'll see if this fixes it, hopefully. But I'll bring you guys back after this and close this out. Okay, everybody, I just got back from a test drive. I put about 20 miles on it, brought it up to, temperature gauge made it up to 200 degrees going up a hill. It's pretty hot out. It's in the upper 90s right now, so we've had crazy hot weather lately. So it was real fun driving this thing around with no air conditioning, the windows down, and the heater going full blast. But let's check and see if we got any leaks here. Let's see. Well, first so I don't ever trust anybody. Here you can see the temperature gauge. We're still up, what, around 190? 185? What does that say, 190? Yeah, so let's get my light. Let's get down in here and look around, see what we can see. I need the light and the camera in the same place. I'm not seeing any leaking going on there. There was none going on in the cabin. I had that apart, and I had that apart. I'm not seeing any leaks at all. So I am very, very happy. I did top off the antifreeze before I left, and filled up the expansion chamber. So hopefully that'll settle down. Hopefully it blew any air out that was in there, and I should be good to go now. So there, that's my little adventure for the past couple days, playing with my old Bronco, trying to get it to stop dumping coolant on the passenger's feet. So hopefully I fixed that. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy this, please please click that thumbs up down there. That helps out. Leave a comment if you have any questions, or you see that I should have done something different. Let me know. I'm always trying to learn every day and learn how other people do things. And thank you very much for watching.